Anyone have a fun bit to start with?
No.
I don't know.
That's okay.
It's hard to make fun jokes about the thing. It's very well done, very seriously tense movie.
Yeah, no,
There's
it's
some
a
jokes
good
in
one.
there.
There are some
There's
jokes.
some ghosts.
One of my favorite suicide jokes.
Wait, there was a whole ghost spot?
So I was going with jokes and gags, and it came out ghosts. So
Gruel.
If you really look at the subtext, there's a ghost plot in there.
Yeah.
yeah, there's a ghost plot in there. Okay, well, I think I don't even have a game for today because I feel like there's a lot that I want to talk about with the movie. So let's not waste any time. As you guys know, I don't really know how to start the podcast, so it'll either be just get right into it or something along the lines of, welcome to Late to the Movies. My name is Ben Holden. This is a podcast where my friends and I get to fill in our movie blind spots. Every week we'll pick a movie that either I or a guest hadn't seen before and really should have by now. The movie this week, continuing Spook 'em Up month, it is The Thing. And my guests this week, left to right across your podcast aisle, we got Sam.
Spook.
Foz.
Spook.
And Bree.
Spook?
Yeah, there it is. Those are the
Spooks.
The
The Spook
spooks.
Squad.
The spooks.
The spook, yeah, Spook Squad. That's
The
Spook
alliteration.
Squad. All right, here we go. Spooks. Oh, here we
The
go.
name we want in public.
A classic Spook Squad mess around.
Yep.
As we're recording, the first episode of Spook 'em Up month hasn't come out yet, so I just figured the most basic name for the month. That's what we call these types of movies. You got your dramas, your comedies, your Spook 'em Ups. So this is Spook 'em Up month. All month longs focused on Spook 'em Ups. We did Poltergeist last week. We're doing The Thing today. 2 movies that came out within like a month in the summer of 1982. The Thing, one of the all-time summer vibes movies. We are also doing, it's been settled now. It is not at all how I imagined it, but a couple that people really wanted to do, and I'm all about that. So next week is the 1977 Japanese experimental horror film House.
Oh.
I've heard of that. I've never seen it, but I've heard great things.
It's a whole time. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to talking about that for an hour. Tune in next week to see how that went. And then I really, really, really wanted to do a different movie, not more than this, but for our 4th episode, but I'll save that for a different time because I think there's going to, whatever. You don't need to know all the behind the scenes stuff. Just know that due to popular demand, the final episode coming out on Halloween on the 31st, which is a Monday this year, we're going to do Hocus Pocus 1 and 2.
Hell yeah.
Because I had a bunch of friends who were like, I haven't seen this before. And I was like, well, yeah, I guess you should see Hocus Pocus.
Oh, man. That's a fun one.
That'll be yeah, there you go. I'm not always great at saying, here's what's coming up. I feel like I should be, so people, if they want to watch stuff, can do so in advance. There you go. That's what this month is on all of, it's a weird range. 77 experimental Japanese horror film, 2 movies from 1982. And then, Hocus Pocus. I think we're
the scariest of them all.
The scariest of them all. That one I think we're going to talk about Hocus Pocus 2 in that one as well. So a 2-week in advance spoiler alert. If you haven't seen that yet, I'm sure it's on Disney Plus by now. I think even as we're recording, it's already out. So
Yep.
Okay. So that being said, have you guys seen anything good recently?
Oh, we watched
Hocus
Hocus Pocus too.
Okay.
That now we cannot really talk about, but it is phenomenal.
No, it's okay. What's your non-spoiler? I haven't seen one frame of it.
Why don't I just say redacted? Like we'll get it clean, like redacted, and then every time we spoil it, you can just put that.
All right.
Okay.
That's a lot of editing.
It's a lot of editing, and I'm sure we'll go great.
Also, I assume the spoiler is longer than you saying redacted.
No, you're gonna have to redacted.
There's not a lot of big twists or anything. It was just a really nice, fun movie.
Oh, okay.
Especially for a sequel, it was a really well done sequel, in my opinion.
There was a plot point that I would never dare spoil because it was very good, where Bree literally slapped me in the chest like 3 times excitedly, like, this is what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And it's what happened.
I
and
did forget about that.
Like it's
just a fun gag.
for
It's
something
not
that's
a
like a
spoiler.
clear cash-in movie on a streaming service that they're trying to generate, like they're trying to get eyes on. It was it was very well written, in my opinion. Maybe not plot wise, but dialogue wise and structure wise.
For what it is, I feel like it was well written.
it
Like
was-
it's not there to win like awards,
it seemed like
but it's very fun.
it seemed like the kind of thing that like someone came along. I don't know who the writer was. I didn't actually look it up, but like someone came along that like knew how to write good movies.
Dollars to donuts, it was at least 3 writers.
Yeah, probably. But like basically what I'm saying is that for something that I was probably hastily written to grab money, I was surprised at how enjoyable it was.
Okay, that's good because I don't think the first one's very good. So,
Well, first,
I'm not as crazy about it as other millennials are, but it's a fun movie. It's good.
yeah,
Hocus Pocus is my favorite Halloween movie.
Yeah. I'm just saying it's not like my favorite.
No, that's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
Do you
It
know
is mine though.
Like, do you know the people that are in Hocus Pocus too? Because there's some good names in it.
Batman.
Even beside, well,
Yeah, I know Tony
Sarah
Hale's
Jessica
in
Parker.
it.
Tony Hale's
Tony
in
Hale
it.
is in it.
And I know
Richardson's
some of
in
my
it.
friends that live in Providence were around where they were filming
Yeah.
when they were filming in Providence.
Sam Richardson from Veep is also in it.
Okay, yeah, he's a reliable. Just throw him in your comedy movie and
Yeah.
let him cook.
He was great in it as
Yep.
well.
Sam Richardson from I Think You Should Leave. I think you mean. Yeah, from Werewolves
No,
Within.
I mean-
I think you mean.
I mean Veep.
Veep.
From Ted Lasso, I think you mean.
Richard Splett might
oh
be
yeah,
a,
he is in
Yeah.
Ted Lasso doing an
Richard's-
accent.
Yeah, Richard Splett might be a top 10 character of all time on TV. for
Yeah,
me.
same.
And that's which is impressive because Jonah Ryan might be one. He's still-
Yeah, that's oh man, good
Veep
show.
is so good.
Wow, have you seen anything? I know you watch at least a movie a day, but
Yeah, I've seen a few movies in theaters recently too. I'll bring up The Woman King, which was really good.
I really want to see that. It was playing on there's actually like one really nice screen at the Fall River place. And it was playing on that for a bit, but it's not now. And I keep other things keep percolating to the top of the hit list.
It came out with like 4 other movies that I wanted to see
that
also.
was the problem.
And
I went to the movies twice that weekend, but
Yeah, it was a lot. And I pushed that one off a bit than the other ones because it was like, well, this is the big movie that's coming out. So I can wait a bit because it's gonna still be in theaters. The other ones may not. But it was great. I watched it in Dorchester and there are some parts where they kill a bunch of like white slavers and everyone's cheering in there and the white slavers are Portuguese too and I'm Portuguese so I felt a little awkward but it's outside of that it was a great movie. I do say you should watch it on a big screen because it really is great on the big screen.
yeah. I went to see the Avatar re-release. I talked about that on last week's episode. Not that you'd know. That was on a big screen. That was
Was it the IMAX one?
yeah in Providence, which is like a real IMAX that has the correct format and stuff. Because there's some IMAXs that are just really big screens, but that actually the one in Providence actually has the correct ratio. And yeah, that's the only movie that's ever made a case really for IMAX 3D, and it is quite astonishing to see in IMAX 3D. They remastered it and updated all like did HDR and shit to it for this re-release. It looks fucking amazing.
Still haven't seen it.
Me either.
Oh, well,
well,
it's probably still there because I think it did
I'm
okay
saving it.
business.
I'm saving it for a podcast my cousin does.
Oh.
All right.
Wait,
We're
didn't you already
going-
do Avatar?
No, we're gonna have okay, I guess I can
You could do Avatar.
I'm
month.
not. I'm sitting here. I'm telling
Avatar
you.
month.
I don't even need to
The
say
Last
this.
Airbender, Avatar.
Oh, okay.
I don't need to see Avatar. That's part of the reason why I haven't seen it yet. But
It's
like,
pretty good.
if you were so inclined to do an
Yeah, it's-
episode about Avatar,
like,
I feel
it's
like you'd
fine.
be hard pressed to find somebody else.
I would say if you ever want to watch it, go see it while it's in IMAX 3D.
Yeah. It loses a lot when it's just on your television.
Yeah. What I have been doing, I mean, this is only the second time. I don't know why I keep caveating everything. This episode's going to take forever. Just equivocating every sentence.
You'll add footnotes into the the
Okay,
script
so
of the
so you
podcast.
read the footnotes for my full feelings and don't get mad. at
David
me.
Foster Wallace, the podcast.
Okay. Every episode this month for Spook Month, I'll be talking about something I've watched on the streaming service Shudder. Shudder is a really good streaming service, like I mentioned on the episode last week. I gave the whole spiel then, just so the short version is just trust me, it's good. Last week I talked about Saloom. This week I'll talk about a movie I've mentioned before, so I'll add a kicker after that too. Watcher, which is by Chloe Acuna and stars Micah Monroe. I don't have that in front of me, but she's the person who starred in It Follows.
Mhm.
And it's really good. Tidy little movie about a woman and her husband who they moved to Albania. It's been like a week since I saw it. I think it's Albania. And she thinks she sees someone looking into her window. And the whole movie is just about like paranoia and if that's happening and etc. Really good. Had a good time. Just a, tight thriller. I think the whole thing's like 90 minutes long. So much like Saloon, which was like 83 minutes long that I recommended last week. Try and keep it short for you. And then another thing that's on there, because I've already mentioned Watcher, I didn't want to consider that just like taking the cheap way out. They have an ongoing series called 101 Scariest Horror Movie Moments of All Time. And if you like listicles like I do, it's pretty good. I think they only cover like 13 an episode. So I think they're only into the 60s. It's ongoing. I think it comes out on Wednesdays. Or I missed this week's episode, maybe in the 50s now. But it's been, I don't know, it's good. They have, it's typical list show with like cutting to talking heads talking about it, but it's like Fede Alvarez and Edgar Wright and people like that.
So they are like counting down the scariest moments?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep. One per movie. I feel like
I haven't
I
seen
feel like
the
those
whole
big
picture
list-
of it yet.
that's fair.
They're
I feel
only
like a
into
lot-
the 50s. So.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of those big big listicle things, like they try to limit like
Mhm.
how
I
many
think
different
so.
movies are.
It's,
pulling
Might have to catch
Especially
that one.
considering it's moments in a movie.
yeah.
It's people talk about that, podcasting is just magazine writing. Like, and list making. You don't actually list them in your own personal preference order. You put something like surprising last. You put like a couple interesting things. You try and intersperse regularly things people have heard of, so they stay interested. And so it is like on a macro version of that exercise, pretty interesting to look at.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool.
It is funny when that glass breaks in a magazine. Like I remember reading like EGM way back in the day, like top 100 games people are looking forward to in the next 5 years, and like Mass Effect was like one or something like that, and it was like because it was like 2006 or something. It was like that makes sense. Then they put like what's that mall shit? Dead Rising.
Dead Rising, yep.
They put like Dead Rising like 70, and I'm like, all I've heard is people talking nonstop about that game. How is that 70? It's like it's because they want you to read that page. So
Yes.
Dead Rising.
And then they want you to go online and be like, I can't believe.
Yeah.
And they want you to tag it.
Yeah.
And it's all about generating traffic, right?
Yep.
All right, let's
Should we
actually talk about the thing.
The
We've
thing.
already done 25 minutes.
I'll get cut
It's
down
always
to 8.5.
happens. I'll have to. All right, so as always, we have to give our disclosure of our previous relationship with the film. We'll go clockwise. Sam, what's your thoughts on Thing?
I watched The Thing, I don't know, somewhere within the last 8 years for the first time and loved it. Spoilers on my.
That's fine. People appreciate. We actually have I wish I had it in front of me. I could shout the name out, but there's an iTunes review that says that they like that we say up front
okay.
if we like the movie or not, and then I keep forgetting to make people do that. But.
But I loved it. I typically do not watch horror movies at all. There was a stage of my life early, like in my 20s, that I was like, okay, I'm going to try to watch some of the classics. And I heard The Thing was more thriller than it was horror, and like I think it's still more horror, but at least it doesn't rely on jump scares the way that a lot of horror movies do. They still have some, but not a ton. But yeah, and then I rewatched it again at some point, and I think this is probably my third, maybe fourth time watching it. At least probably second or third full watch through. But yeah, that's basically me.
Yeah.
I also love the movie. I forgot the first time I watched it. I'm pretty sure I watched it with a bunch of friends. And then the second time I watched it was this year. I saw it in theaters. But it was a bad screening because it started an hour and a half late.
Whoa.
And by
The
time,
movie's an hour and 40 minutes long.
Yeah. And by the time they actually got it going, I was already half asleep. So I
Yikes.
just watched the movie half asleep.
Jeez.
And then I watched it again today so I can actually, be awake for it. And for the podcast, obviously. And it's just so it's just great. Great.
So this is my first time watching it this morning. And I also loved it.
It's a good morning movie.
Yeah, it really wakes you up.
We woke up early and we watched it at 8 in the morning or something, maybe even earlier than that. And then we watched Hocus Pocus 2 after that. But
Great double feature.
Oh, nice.
but no, it was great. I do love horror movies, especially more classic ones. Yeah, it was definitely a little bit more of a thriller. Not really. I think it was one jump scare that got me. But it wasn't even that bad. It was just the loud screeching noise. But yeah, no, I'm very glad I watched it. I've been meaning to watch it for a while, but glad I finally got to it.
Yeah, this is quite possibly my favorite movie. I love it so much. I also saw it in theaters. There was like the kerfuffle where the first Fathom showing wasn't in the 4K, and then they had the 4K. But all that to say, I own the 4K. So this time that I watched it with the commentary from John Carpenter and Kurt Russell. So I have some insight from that to pepper in. I thought that would be a more interesting use of my time than just reading a Wikipedia page like usual. So yeah, who wants to give a 1-minute plot summary of John Carpenter's The Thing?
Oh, I can do it. All right.
Whenever you're ready.
All right. We start with space, and there's a spaceship that crashes on Earth. And then there's the title sequence, which is really great. Then we cut to Antarctica, mountains, and there's a helicopter chasing a dog, and it's shooting the dog. And the helicopter being piloted by non-English speakers. And then they meet some English speakers, and the English speakers kill them. The dog comes in, and then he does some dog stuff for a bit. Then he starts, then he doesn't do some dog stuff for a bit. like stuff that you think what a dog wouldn't do, he does that. And then he infects everyone else because he's a thing. He's the thing. The dog's a thing, and then everyone else becomes a thing. And then they blow up the thing. But did they?
Yeah, nailed it.
Who knows?
That's it. Actually, it's a really good summary.
I think he spent more time on
The dog?
the Norwegians than being like,
Yeah.
and Kurt Russell's the main character.
I love
Kurt Russell,
Keith David's here. Wilford Brimley.
my favorite recurring thing about this is that everybody always spends the first 30 seconds of their summary just talking about the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, and then you gotta go. That's why it's good.
establish.
Before we instituted the 1-minute rule, these would go on for like 5 minutes. Then I go back and edit and be like, ooh, people are going to hate this part. Yeah, so structurally, this movie, I can't think of too many movies that operate on as many tracks as this one does, because it's essentially like an Agatha Christie style thriller with a monster. The monster happens to be the best practical creature effects ever captured on film.
Yep.
Man, yeah, I was gonna talk about the practical effects of this movie because they're
Yeah.
so well done.
That's Rob Bottin, who's
Yep.
the main guy who did
When
the
he's 3
sculptural.
years old.
Yeah, it makes you feel old.
Yep.
At 23 years old, he sculpted, and there's a lot of puppeteers working behind the scenes on puppets. The last puppet, there's 50 people operating it. So yeah, sculpture, puppet work, and just really on a craft level. No one puts the camera in the right place like John Carpenter.
What was everyone's favorite monster or
Yeah, I have
Muppet,
some
puppet?
discussion questions, and this is one of them.
All
What
right.
was your favorite?
Well, I cut you to it, so
Well, I know what your favorite was.
The little spider guy.
The spider head.
that's my
Spider-Head.
favorite.
Yeah, that was.
You
also
guys
my
are
favorite.
constantly talking about Spiderhead.
I'm mad that you're trying to ruin Spider Thing for me by calling him Spiderhead. That bothers me.
I was gonna call him Spiderhead. That's
Oh.
Spiderhead. He's my favorite because
Oh.
even when he doesn't have the spider legs, his eyes are still working and such, and it's so good. And then he has a nice little screech when he dies.
Yep. If Spiderhead the movie was about that Spiderhead, it would have been a way better movie.
the 15 to 20 seconds
If they
between.
could have given him a whole allegory, he could have done a little "Hello, my baby, hello, my honey" halfway through.
Yeah, you can tell. So that's one. There's different parts.
The way he skitters along, we were talking about it for 5 minutes after.
Yeah.
He was just like, "Ooh, I'm gonna make it." Ooh, I don't see this.
And I love
Yeah.
I love when Palmer sees him and he's like, "Guys, are you fucking kidding me?"
You gotta be fucking kidding. Yeah, the best line in the movie.
Yep.
Because
Oh,
it's
man.
very human. What else would you just be like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
Yeah.
It's like we literally burn you alive. You're like cut in half, and you sprout friggin' legs from the head.
It's so I'll try and mention a lot of the commentary is them talking about like this part was on the sets in Burbank at Universal. This part was filmed in British Columbia. This part was filmed in Alaska. But some of it is they're just like looking at the movie, and when the sprouts legs and starts skinning her away, John Carpenter just goes, "Never seen that in a movie before." Yep. Nope, you haven't. You can tell even he's like, yeah, they did a great job on that. That looks crazy.
Yeah, the practical effects in this movie are so good, especially for 82.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
It's like I think and I don't think this is an exaggeration. I think for this movie, like the practical effects of this movie compared to like is on comp for like the CGI in Jurassic Park, where it's like you're looking back at it and you're like, yes, I can see how this isn't today's standard. You know, yes, I can see how like there's a little bit of ageness. Like, yes, I can tell that's not real. Yes, I can tell that's a puppet. But like, it's insane. Like if someone put that in a movie right now, I'd be like, okay, I can tell it's a puppet, but that's pretty dope. And it's like, oh, and that happened 40 years ago. It's like,
Right.
oh.
Yeah.
Like
40
the
years ago.
artistry in it is just so impressive.
Like,
Yeah,
like on a
it's
meta
absolutely.
level, comparing it to like the computers that they're showing in, like I know they're on they're supposed to be in an Antarctic base, like they're not going to have top tier computers, but like their technology is primitive from like a
Yeah, it takes
computer
forever for
perspective.
those cells to eat
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
We can
man.
talk about that scene. But
Yeah.
I called that the exposition computer.
Yeah.
It's only there to tell you exposition.
The one thing that's always tied up in the legacy of this movie, it comes out on the same day as Blade Runner, both flop hard. This movie, when it is considered by critics to be just like a special effects schlock fest with no intelligence, which is not true.
Bananas?
Yeah.
I think I saw one review say it was like this was a critical failure at launch, which is insane to me.
Yeah, it was. The critical consensus was that it's like, oh, it's just about these dumb special effects. Who cares? It's like, who cares?
Who cares?
It's like we've been watching, a decade and a half of Marvel movies, and that's like the best of the CGI that's happening in movies today, and seeing like an actual puppet that there's someone inside going like, hey, like, oh my god, that looks amazing. I just want that.
Yeah.
So just insane that you can look at again the best practical creature effects ever put on film and be like, ho hum.
Yeah.
I'm
Also,
not
like,
here for this.
3 years after Alien, which is probably
79.
which is probably one of the other like large like comp to this genre.
Well,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, for Alien movies, unfortunately, this is I think 2.5 weeks after E.T.
Oh,
So
fair.
um,
I'm more just thinking like you're sitting there in a world where like Alien, people watched Alien and people were like, Alien's fantastic, like
Mhm.
critical darling Alien, like box office. I don't remember if it was a smash or not, but culturally relevant Alien at that point. And the thing comes out and everyone's like, like it doesn't even make sense. It's so
This
good.
is Carpenter shot at working in a big studio, and it flops, and he has to go to, his version of director jail, I guess.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me because like even with practical effects aside, I love the plot. Like it's such
Yes,
it's such
extremely
a
smartly
good
written.
story.
Yeah.
Like I love the ambiguity. Like probably my favorite part of this movie is the ending. I love when horror movies have ambiguous endings. It makes it even scarier.
And it's great because it's ambiguous in the sense that you don't know who's the you don't know if one of them's the thing,
Mm.
if either it's probably not both.
Right.
But like in one side it's like, oh, I wonder who it is, but on the other side it's like it doesn't matter, which is like what their dialogue is. So it's like you have your solution. The solution is no matter what, they're all leading towards a flowchart where they're gonna die. Like the thing is gonna be stay isolated. They're gonna die. But if
The
they're
thing might survive though, because if it
Oh,
does
yeah,
end
and
up
that's-
getting frozen and saved,
Yeah.
it's now gonna like infect the rest of the human race.
it's
But
just
you
in a
don't know that.
It's just in an extremely remote location where
Right.
nowhere to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could easily go somewhere.
Yeah, because the rescue team still theoretically is going to show up in spring. So.
Oh yeah. Yep. It's super smart. It's it's incredible. It was so based on a novella Who Goes There. There's a 1951 movie as well that is, I think, more faithful to the novella than this is. This kind of does its own thing in a lot of ways. And just because we're talking about how well written it is, screenplay by Bill Lancaster.
Bill, good job, Bill. He's pretty late in the credits when his name actually shows up too.
Yeah, well,
Because it goes Kurt Russell, then the guy who did the score, and then I forget who everyone
Oh,
else.
the score was really good.
And when your stunt coordinator is named Dick Warlock, you need to,
Yeah.
you need to highlight
He's got to be higher,
What
Bill.
a king. Oh, man.
Yeah, he's great. There's a couple scenes where it's obviously not Kurt Russell, and you can tell both Kurt Russell and John Carpenter get a kick out of going, well, that's Dick Warlock. But he's in a ton of Carpenter movies, and I think he's like Kurt Russell's guy throughout his career.
Oh, okay.
Pretty sure.
I do want to say one of the small stunts was near the end when the thing is going through the floorboards.
That's Dick
Yeah,
Warlock.
Yep. And, and Kurt does the little like roll.
Yeah.
Roll,
Yeah.
the action roll, yeah.
Yes,
Oh, man.
That's a lot of fun.
they both go, oh, good job.
Good job, Warlock.
Yeah, we're jumping around a little bit, but that's okay. So, yes, structurally super smart. I love that it is. As the audience, you're on your toes because it's not like it's not even that like, oh, there's red herrings and there's clues and you got to put them together and it's a whodunit. It's just some of them realize, and then eventually they all realize.
Mhm.
From the moment this started happening, we were fucked. The game was over. All we can do is figure out a way for this to not get to the mainland.
Right.
And we have to just keep destroying any form of transportation it tries to make for itself. And the great thing about it is it's not evil. It's not like having a good time doing this. It's just
It's just
trying
what it
to
does.
It's survival, yeah.
it's trying to survive. And what they say in the commentary, if we went to another planet and started eating plants, to those plants, we would be a horrible monster.
Yeah.
You
It
know?
is a completely neutral being.
Yeah, it's just trying to survive. And that's, I guess a couple times throughout, I'll just be like, and the 2011 prequel does not do that. And it's bad. So I
Oh,
don't know.
yikes.
Whatever. Well, less time spent on that's fine.
Also going back to like the novella thing, it is, or the Agatha Christie stuff. It is just essentially, and then there were none kind of a storyline.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I
Except
like,
there literally were none
Yeah.
by the end.
and it's also, I also like that Kurt Russell is in two of those. The Hateful Eight is just another.
Yep.
There will be none, but this time, he dies last, or maybe dies last. And in the Hateful Eight, he dies first.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Spoilers for the Hateful Eight.
If you wanted to see it, you've had
had plenty of
It's
time.
like
For both of
7
these.
years.
And plus, with his sentence structure, you could have known to skip ahead 15
Yep,
seconds.
yep.
True.
Yeah.
But yeah, like for me, I think one of the reasons why this probably got like clipped by critics is mostly because they take like they kind of, the pacing in this movie I still think is fine, but like from a story perspective, it's very, very slow, and then it like just it's like a
Go
bomb
time.
goes
Here we
off.
go.
Yeah,
Yep.
and then it's like
Yeah,
you're
they
downhill.
put the dog in the kennel, and you're like, oh, what's going on? Oh, these dogs seem concerned. Oh, no,
No.
now I'm concerned.
yeah, it's a real roller coaster. Like it's literally like almost like Superman in Six Flags, where it's like,
Yep.
oh, it's going up, and then once it's down, that's it.
Yep.
Like you got like an hour of just absolutely top. Like there's like some, obviously the blood test scene's a little
Yeah.
more slow building
Well,
action, but
I always forget they do McCready coming in through the window into the storeroom,
Yep.
Mhm.
illuminated by the flare, right into the chest scene
yeah.
Mm.
and the spider head, right into the blood test
Right,
scene.
Yeah.
the
Those
blood
are
test.
there's no connective tissue. Those
No.
scenes are one boom, boom, boom.
And
Right.
if you think about it from a practical plot standpoint, it makes sense that there's not, because it's like we need to
That's-
get rid
yes.
of this.
Exactly.
Like
yeah.
the
We
day-
are dealing with the
yeah,
immediate
The
thing.
day before, they're literally like, I think one of the things that's interesting is the day before, who's the guy with the glasses? Fuchs, I think, is
Oh yeah, Fuchs.
he's
Yeah.
literally like coming up with a long-term plan.
Yep.
And he's like, we need to eat out of cans.
Yep.
Yes.
He's like, we
everyone
gotta-
needs to make their own food.
Everyone's
Yeah.
gonna make their own food and all this. Then he's dead, and then like within 24 hours, everybody's dead. Like it's
Yeah.
not even like
You don't really realize it, but it's basically
it's 2 days, I think.
yeah.
right?
Once that's happening, the rest of the movie is just that same night.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know when Wilford Brimley becomes the thing, and they don't really say when
No,
he does.
it's
Um,
a fun thing to debate, though.
But the thing is really good at making spaceships. Like he
yeah.
made like a good chunk of it with just like
Yeah,
he had him dig the hole,
Yeah.
And then he had to like put all the pieces down there and then put it together.
It's that ship in the bottle thing though, because like, how are you going to get it out of there?
Yeah, that's true.
Come on,
Crash through
come
the
on,
top, I
thing.
guess.
It's step by step.
Yeah.
He'll probably dig his way out of
He's
it.
down there, and then he's just gonna chill down there for like another 100,000 years until somebody takes out his spaceship, and then he's gonna go so long.
Yeah. So I really do want to talk about the end, but we'll get to that later. But yeah, the one guy, you can probably guess who, because of why I'm bringing it up after you saying that. That both Carpenter and Kurt Russell, anytime he's on screen, they're just going, "Oh yeah, go for it." Is
Wilford
Wilford Brimley?
Yeah.
They
How
fucking love Wilford Brimley.
How much fun was the scene where he was just cracking all the radios? Still, like I was saying to Bree while I was watching,
Yep.
like this must have been the most
Just destroying
fun.
everything.
Like no notes, just go in there and just
Yeah.
start screaming shit. Like who cares?
That's literally what they're saying. They're like, yeah, they're both like literally on the just cheer, like, yeah, go Will. Man, he's really going for it.
Just give him an axe and he knows what to do.
And I know if it's a very satisfying to me to hear like famous people refer to other famous people and be like, oh, I didn't know that's what they like to be called, and they call him Will. It's like, oh, he only has one L in his name. Like, I didn't know you could do that.
Can't be Wolf.
No, they call him Will.
Brimdog.
But they fucking love Wilford Brimley. Anytime he's on screen, they're talking about, man, he fucking nails this part. He's so funny. When the new scene,
Yep.
I was like,
That's the
I
best
feel
joke in the
like
movie.
I'm feeling much better, and I'd like to come back inside. Yeah, you just see the noose in the back.
Perfectly shot, by the
And
way.
he walks
Very
up to
well.
them, and like
Yes.
he's still talking as they're closing the door on him.
Yeah,
Watch out for Clark.
Yeah.
yeah, Brimley's great. Yeah,
I said to Bree at the beginning of the movie, and it's a kind of a disservice to the rest of the people, so I don't want to like really lay into it. It's like I feel like there's 3 really good performances in this movie, and it's funny to me that all 3 of those people are the people who are still famous today.
well, this is this the first Keith David
It's
movie?
at least
Like-
one of the first.
Oh, it's I looked at his IMDb today, but I only looked at the first his recent
They
stuff.
Live
And
is
that,
Yes.
after this. That I know.
no one had discovered his voice yet. Maybe.
Yeah.
It's insane to see like, well, everyone in this movie is great.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're going through, they're talking about, yeah, this was this guy's first movie. This guy is just like, we got him from here, we pulled him in,
Yeah.
and everyone is just like, one thing that the 2011 movie doesn't do that I actually do want to get into, none of the characters really have like
Personality.
a thing, and I don't mean like someone has like a toothpick thing, like, you know,
So, no,
Jason
no
Lee
one's
and
smoking weed.
Dreamcatcher, but right, yeah, no, but all of these characters like really quickly, really efficiently, especially early Carpenter, it is so efficient that he can establish this is this guy, this is his thing, this is his interpersonal relationships with everyone.
Yep.
Mhm.
It's not doing it like a checklist, but you get that about everyone within the
you-
first 25 minutes.
Yeah.
You immediately know that Knowles thinks he's way cooler than everybody else and
'Cause
doesn't
he
want to deal with it.
rollerblades.
Yeah,
He's
he's
so
rollerblading.
cool.
I
And he
love
doesn't
him.
he doesn't turn the music down when the guy tells
he
him to.
pretends to, and he's like,
See?
"See," and that's just for himself.
And that's just him. There's no one else in there.
Yep. Oh man. So yeah, the characterization is so good. Technically, he's uncredited in Disco Godfather 1979, but The Thing is his first credited listed.
His first
performance.
major work.
Yeah,
And he does a great job. Like
Yeah.
he's
awesome.
Yeah.
It's great. His next thing is until 1986 is when he's in Platoon.
Oh, thought it was going to be in the thing too.
Yeah.
The next thing.
Yeah, the next thing he's in is The Thing too. Anyway, no, it is Something About Mary.
that's a whole different movie now.
It's a whole different movie, but
That's why her hair's doing that in that scene.
that and the there's something about Mary Universe. This is part of that.
Something
The
about
thing
Thing.
actually gets out, and then everyone's a thing, and now
Yeah.
they're just
Yeah.
continuing to
Oh my
make
God.
Brett Favre is a thing.
Yeah.
yeah, the Something About Mary universe.
Yeah.
It's
Oh
just
no.
another parallel universe
Yep.
for the podcast.
Oh
Oh,
no.
I can see the t-shirts
No.
already.
God forbid Octavia Spencer does a movie with Thing in the title.
No. There's too many layers already.
We're all thinking about thing movies right now.
It's just
Something's got to give.
it's just another remake of The Thing, but the poster's in the style of The Help.
That thing you do is just a try.
That thing
It's just like one of the horrible monsters. It's the same movie, but he's just
Oh my god. Too many layers.
Whew, okay, that was just for us.
Yep. One for us.
Okay, we got it all.
Yeah.
Yep, we got all the things out of the way.
Yikes.
So out of the 47 minutes we've recorded, what do we figure? 20 will go in?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe 25.
We were doing a good job too. So one thing,
Yeah.
so now that
one
we
thing.
kind of got
over our thing tangent.
before we get too far from it, did we all have the same answer? What our favorite The Thing is?
Is it Spiderhead? Is everyone Spiderhead?
Spiderhead.
It's gotta be the Spider.
It's gotta be the Spiderhead.
It's so good and it's so well done.
Yeah.
And it's like its birth. We see the birth of
Yes.
it.
We see him being born.
and he appears right after what is my all-time favorite jump scare in movies.
The Palmer reveal.
No, not the Palmer reveal. The Norris
the
reveal.
defibrillator.
Yeah.
Oh, yep, that one.
Yeah, everything's caving in. Oh, that was really
I
good.
was having such a hard time not looking at Bree before that scene.
It's like,
You know what I mean?
I don't
Like,
know.
I don't want to give it away, but like I need to see how this goes.
That one's not the one that got me.
Interesting.
The
Yeah, the
one
blood
that got
scene
me
good.
was when he was blood sampling and the
Oh,
one
and-
finally popped. That
Yeah.
screech noise just got me.
And it's one of the things that so I did the same thing. I went to see it in theaters with a couple friends who hadn't seen it before, and I was just like looking
Just
at them
looking over.
when they're doing the defibrillator. It's
Yeah.
like, ooh, here it comes, here it comes. And yeah, that's great. They use a guy who doesn't have hands
Yeah.
is the stand-in for that scene because
Huh.
it's not CGI.
Yep.
You could look and it's a guy who legitimately doesn't have hands.
Yep.
Yeah, it's such a I mean, that's an awesome scene. and that's one of those things that it's not like it's not a jump scare and then you're done. It's a jump scare and now we got another couple minutes
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
hell.
And
Yeah.
he keeps going.
Also, with the defibrillator thing, like someone had to think of that.
Yeah.
It's just one
Yeah,
of those
someone
moments
thought of
that, like, oh, you know what would be great if it like his chest opened up and he just ate him.
Yeah.
Like
I always-
he fakes a heart attack. You know,
Yeah.
like the thing knows to
Yeah.
fake a heart attack.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
So, oh God. It's
His
so
arms
good.
go in, goes up. The first version of the thing in this scene goes up to like hang on like the ceiling, and that one is pretty much immediately put out, but you don't forget it. It's on like a lot of like the slip covers has that one on it. The one that's on the ceiling, but it's kind of which guy's that? Norris?
Norris.
Yeah.
It's kind of his head like off to the side.
Yeah.
And then his other head starts stretching, and if you don't know what's happening at that point, every time I see that, I'm like, I know a lot of the tentacle stuff. I know a lot of the creature movement is reverse, that they're like just pulling it in,
Yeah.
and then you
Mhm.
play it backwards, and it looks like it's expanding out.
Mm.
I don't know how they did that.
Mm.
Hydraulics, like. I don't know. I don't know how they did that part. The head
Fishing lines, maybe?
when it like sends out its tongue tentacle and like
Oh.
pulls itself across the
Mhm.
floor,
Yeah.
like I don't know how you do
Ooh.
that.
They just got a bunch of those little sticky hands.
Yes.
Yeah. So a thing that I probably don't do enough in this show. So what did you think during that scene? Because that's probably the one that people think of a lot. The whole defibrillator through the
I
got me
can't
fucking
stop
kidding
thinking
me.
about the fucking the
Sorry.
practical effects of it. It's so impressive.
Yeah.
Like even like it's very obviously fake. It's like I'm not saying it looks super realistic. It's just the craftsmanship of it. Like it's so well done.
yeah.
It's impressive seeing it all come together like that. It's not scary, but it's so fun to watch. It's so entertaining.
It is, right? It's,
Yeah.
It's in. Oh my god.
I love learning about practical effects, like the behind the scenes of it, like tricks to make it look like that. Because when you were talking about like all the tricks to make things seem like they're moving and stuff, it reminds me of I think it's Little Shop of Horrors with the plant. How they had to, I think it's they shot it like I forgot what it was, but they like they did it backwards and then the actual movie has it like in double time or something like that.
Oh sure, yeah.
It's something like that, but I love horror tricks to make things scarier, like in the actual movie.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find
I think only one time there's like an animated thing when it comes out and grabs the detonator when he's in the basement and it's just Kurt Russell left.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That one looks like claymation almost.
Oh yes, it definitely stopped motion.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
that one.
I do remember thinking of that at the time.
Yeah.
Like, how do they make it move? It's like, oh, they just did stop. Like almost think like, how are they going to make it go over here? And it's like,
Yeah. But I think the rest of it is sculptures and puppets. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Stop motion still also isn't cheating their system, really. It's just a different
No.
method.
Definitely not. But yeah, just talking about like it's using all these like old school tricks and stuff, and Carpenter on the commentary loves calling out like, oh yeah, that's an old haunted house trick, like when Rawls comes back in and then they're talking about like, we can't let McCready in, what's going on, and then you see like the doorknob turning behind them. It's like, oh, it's just like an old, it's probably in like House on Haunted Hill with Vincent Price, right? But I don't mean to direct everything at you. It's just this is the way yeah, it's just this is the way the mic's facing, and so I can't turn my face.
Ooh, I did find it. So in order to get the movement of the plant smooth, the film was shot in slow motion, 12 frames per second, rather than the usual 24 frames per second, and then sped up. So that's how they got it to look like that.
I like those little tricks.
Yeah, exactly. Like I love learning practical effects of movies like that.
Someone who's it's not so much practical effects, or it's a different kind of a thing. Edgar Wright does that a lot. If you've seen Last Night in Soho, he does this thing called the Texas Switch a lot, and he does it during a dance routine that is like one shot.
Switch.
The Texas Switches are great, and he does a great job with them, and it's
that
really good.
Really good.
Yep, and not great movie, but that scene,
yeah,
very
you
good.
said you didn't really like that movie.
That whole sequence with Thomas McKenzie and Anya Taylor-Joy kind of mirroring each other, literally through mirrors as she's like walking into the club. And then, that dance sequence where you can tell they're doing it in camera.
Yes.
In a good way. Like there's not.
Like they're not cutting. It's not like going behind a guy's back or anything.
Right. Yeah. It's just super seamless.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to move on to the next scene after the spider head, where the blood test scene.
Yeah, the blood test scene is very good.
It's just so it's like everyone's tied up. It's just a great scenario.
So tense.
Yes, Windows is there, being useless,
but just trying. Because I think they're like, well, Windows can't be the thing. Look at him.
He's so small.
Just to frame it, this is on the commentary where Carpenter says, "This is the reason I wanted to make the movie. This is my favorite scene in the movie." So.
It's a great scene.
Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. The funny thing with Windows is like they talk about like it's like, oh, it's Windows, he's whatever, and then like he's gonna be the number 2. We're gonna test him, and then like when shit starts popping off, like Kurt Russell has a flamethrower, and he's like, oh, Windows can clearly handle this situation. And then Windows immediately botches
too.
Yeah,
I remember when I was watching it.
Hard.
Yep.
When I was watching it, there was like, I don't think Windows will ever be the thing, but I can definitely see him being in cahoots with it. He just had that vibe the entire time to me.
Familiar.
A Dr. Breen-esque. They will spare me in the like after they've taken over.
Yeah, I'll do all the finance stuff for them in the New World Order.
He's got the thing's trying to run an economy with all its other things.
Man, I hate that we have to keep Windows around for the money stuff, but we do.
We do. All of us agree because we're the same being.
So that scene is right. Yeah, I mean, it shows like the individuality, right, of every, and that's when you really know you're fucked, because it's like, okay, well, it's not just like a creature that you can kill.
Yeah,
every cell can do this.
Right.
The blood is from that, but it's also its own thing, and then they go into droplets, and the droplets are each their own thing.
Which is another thing I assume it's like they just probably put like iron in the blood in whatever they're using the blood,
and they just use like a magnet
magnets to like get it to drag, but that's still a very cool effect.
Lower budget. Think lower budget.
Molasses.
They just tilted it.
They tilted it. Yep, they tilted it. It's a close-up shot. It looks like the floor, but it was a table, and they tilted it. Yep.
Nice.
Makes sense.
Just made of the same material that the floor's made of. And it's still a cool effect though.
Yeah.
Because it really does look like that blood's running away.
Yep.
And plus, they had to save money for when the thing is going on the ground, and everyone's like,
yeah. Oh man, that scene's so cool. And my favorite part of it is that stuff starts happening, and it's this this thing that I think he said Rob Bottin made this too. That it's the contraption where Windows is in the guy's head, and it looks like kind of fake, but they're
Yeah.
like, we just loved this. We shot it from
Yeah.
every angle, and you can see
Yeah,
it's
they
his
really
feet
do.
and its back
Yeah.
and its
Yeah.
side, and it's and
I
and
remember.
then it goes on for a while too.
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
Windows
I was
not having a good time.
I was
No.
thinking in that scene how crazy it was that like David just has to keep screaming like, get me out of here, get us out, like 10 times. It was like, okay, they've shown this monster for like a straight minute, like and Kurt Russell just keeps I can't get the thing to keep going.
Yeah. And Carpenter describes that part as just a vision of hell. Like this is just. And him and Russell are talking about like, yeah, if you were in the room and you saw this happening, what do you do? You're just
Yeah.
like,
You would scream and panic, and that's literally the best thing you
it's
can
like
do.
you just want to fucking die.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to live in a world where this happens.
Yeah.
Like,
Because if he's doing that to Windows, I'm tied up.
Yeah,
What-
yeah.
What is he gonna do to me?
yeah, it's such a good concept because it's the tension, it's the going through them one by one.
Yeah. Oh my god, that scene was so
And those
tense.
other people haven't been saved yet, so you
Right.
don't want to like. You don't want
Nope.
to
Nope.
untie
Yeah.
like one of them and then them just.
And then
like,
he starts going off, and the face is just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, and
You know.
the one I liked about that is that the face is fucking up, but it's like the way that the actual actor that plays Palmer was dealing with that looked like it was like the thing was literally like, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do here.
yeah.
Because the thing really had I mean the thing was caught. I will
Yeah.
like, you will like it,
Yeah.
He got cornered.
and it didn't really have a chance to really do anything else about it. Like it got tied up. It probably could have
Yeah.
attacked while it was getting tied up.
Well, this
But
is
like he might have like you don't know the thing might have been like, oh, maybe I can survive this blood
Mhm.
test. Like maybe that copper
Right,
wire
yeah.
won't hurt that much. And then it was like
as McCready's coming out of the storeroom, going into the room where Norris turns into the Spider-Head eventually.
yeah.
He says like, okay, no one is out of my sight again.
Yeah.
Everyone, we're staying within each other's eyesight. So yeah, that's
It is literally like that. Like if you've played Among Us, I know Among Us even has the thing like map now because
Yeah.
it's like such an obvious comparison. But like it is like that same thing when you're playing a deception game or something, and they just got you pegged. Like we think it's you, or like we know it's one of you three. So like the three of you are just gonna go walk around while everyone else looks at you, and it's like
yeah.
I don't know what I'm gonna do. I guess I'm gonna kill somebody and just hope I can like fight my way out of this.
yeah,
'cause
that's all I could do.
It's
Yeah,
either that
it
or I
goes
just
up,
get voted out, and I don't care.
it flies up into the ceiling. Doesn't
Yeah.
really explain why, but it's still cool.
It has been established that the thing just loves going to the ceiling because he does it at
That's
the
true.
dog.
It normally has to like monkey bars its way
Yeah,
out,
yeah.
though.
but
He
this
just had a
one-
lot of adrenaline
yeah.
in that scene.
Yeah.
so-
he knew he had to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am. So I was gonna say the thing I love. Oh, the thing I love. the
been
thing.
doing
That's another
comma,
movie.
I love. So what I love most about this scene is that all that happens. Then it's like, all right, who's next?
Yep.
It's like,
Yeah.
We're not done yet. We still
Yeah.
we have
The
to finish
cuts
the blood
for that
test.
scene
The
are really
oh yeah,
good.
me and Bree were like in tears over the fucking smash cuts of
Yep.
like it's like tss, and they cut to Nulls, and then the next like literally not
Oh.
even a transition. The next cut is just Nulls now has a flamethrower.
Yep,
yep.
It's insane.
And then
The smash
and
cuts
then
are
it's
so
just
good.
Jerry on the chair and Gary on the chair.
Gary.
Yeah, yeah.
And everyone just has a flamethrower on.
Yeah.
So
We're
good.
ready.
Yeah, because they do it to Childs, Keith David,
Yep,
and he's going like, "Come on!" And he's like looking at
Yep.
Gary, and then yeah, smash cut to he has a
Yep.
flamethrower too. and then that really like drills in. It's like, oh, there's 4 of them left.
Yeah.
Blair's out in the
Yeah,
the
it almost makes you
wood.
think like there's other people. Like, oh, Fuchs is not. No,
'Cause there's
Fuchs
like
died too.
there's a
you know,
ton.
like,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, but Clark's dead. Like they're all dead.
I think
Clark
that
unfortunately
scene-
never got thinged.
Yeah, like the person that you thought would have gotten like had the most.
That I thought
Yeah.
I love that. I love that
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clark
Yeah,
never got
so
it.
many opportunities with the dogs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Where he's by himself with the thing that
Yep.
they knew was the thing.
I know this is like a heavily debated thing, but when do we think Palmer actually got assimilated?
So it has to be before then.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I would assume it
That's
was
the-
actually early. I would assume like
It could have been very
It could have like
early.
Palmer. could have did it the entire
There
time.
is a scene in the beginning where the dog goes into a room and we see someone's shadow. Do we ever know who that is? Was it Clark or was
I
it someone
think
else?
it's Norris.
Norris.
It looks like kind of like Norris's head shape and
Okay.
hair.
Oh wait, wasn't it Clark? Because he was asked by Blair like, how long were you in that room with the dog?
Oh yeah, he
with?
does say like an
Yeah.
hour.
Yeah, he was like
Yeah.
hour and a half.
Yeah.
So I think that was Clark.
Yeah, but he's always just hanging out with the dogs. Also,
Yeah, exactly.
Also, headcanon. My guess is that the thing didn't want to like thing him, because he was probably like getting like belly rubs and such. And he was
Maybe,
like,
yeah.
"You're such a good dog."
Like, you know what?
Maybe.
Okay.
I buy that.
Yeah, and there's also no explanation for how the key got stolen off of the
Yeah, I don't
main
think they
guy,
ever
'cause-
addressed that.
I think his Gary's explanation is probably the one that just happened. Was like someone just
Someone
swiped it
just
off him.
swiped it off of
Yep.
him, and like they were like, "Oh,
Yeah.
you never let." It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't, but somebody swiped it. Like,
Right.
Yeah. That's
The
I
thing did
totally,
did a pickpocket 95.
Yeah.
and-
Yeah, if Palmer did get it early, it could have just been the thing as Palmer
yeah.
destroying it.
What's great is that I feel like questions in those kinds of questions in this movie are like it adds to the experience.
Yes, definitely.
You don't get hung up on like, well, that's a plot hole because he wasn't alone from this time to it doesn't. The movie's so good and that stuff
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
That's why I love the ambiguity of this
Which
movie.
is,
And I feel like those are the kind of questions that the 2011 one gets hung up on, which
Yeah.
is just like those things are not important to me.
Yeah.
Leave it alone.
and it's interesting because like I can see a critic, especially in '82, being like, "Well, there's plot holes abundant. Like, they never
yeah.
explained why this happened. They never said what happened to Knowles. Like, you don't need to
Yeah.
see what happened to Knowles. You know now Knowles died.
The only
Yeah,
plot hole I want to mention that is kind of like, that's is weird, is the fact that McCready never wanted people to split up and then asked to split up like 4 times after that.
Yeah. Well,
Like
so
people kept moving out.
So
to like,
yeah, at the end when he was like, "All right, we got to go do all these tasks underground," it didn't seem like time was a pressing issue. Like time is a pressing issue in the sense that like, okay, we don't want to get killed, you
Yeah.
know, but like,
Also,
Wait,
at
what
that
do you
point-
wait? What do we?
why
talking
does Gary walk off by like they're like Gary go find this thing and like Knowles is gonna walk in this other room by
I think
Well,
even
they're
before
spreading
that,
the
there was a
dynamite
few-
around.
Yeah,
I guess,
plus
but
that-
you should go do that.
yeah,
together.
the 3 of them
Yeah.
move room to room.
I can
Yeah.
see that,
Good,
but
yeah.
also by that point, I think like everyone was like, "We're all gonna die."
Yeah,
Yeah, they were down.
Yeah.
They were down to
So-
3.
So I mean, if we split up, like, "Oh no, Gary's gonna die. He was gonna die
Yeah, but
anyway."
They were still trying to like blow up the place, and they had
Yeah.
a plan to do it. So if they all died
You also-
because they split,
also-
like
Yeah, sorry, I cut you. You also don't want one of them to get compromised and then come back and you think,
Right.
"Oh, we tested his blood." It's like, yeah, but then he walked off and got thinged off stage, and now he's back.
Yeah.
Also, I
Um,
did like how Gary got thinged. With,
yeah, that was
Yeah.
Wilford Brimley's hand right on his mouth.
Yep.
yep.
There's some. It's like that and like zombie, like the two or like zombie movies, or like the things where it's like, I just hate supernatural beings that can just very easily work their way through flesh. Like it makes it just seem so viscerally easy to like peel flesh off of somebody. Like Walking Dead does that a lot. It's like, well,
Sure,
these
yeah.
like theoretically these zombies should not be stronger than humans, but like for some reason they are, or somehow they dig their way into
Yeah.
flesh so easily. Like it is very offsetting when it's just like
Yeah.
the hand
Mhm.
is just driving right into his face.
But yeah, you get that last bits. They spread the dynamite. At least they complete that part before. One of the couple major points that Carpenter and Russell talk about. Man, we were just thinking forever. What should I be saying at this point? The main one being the ending, which
Yeah.
Kurt Russell came up with.
Yeah.
And then also the moment where he throws the stick of dynamite at the totem pole version
Yeah.
of all the different like Blair and
Yeah.
Norris and the dog version of the thing, where he just goes, "Well, fuck you too."
The
Very
fuck,
good.
the fuck you dude, like
Yeah.
from MacGruber equivalent.
Yeah. And then you get maybe one of the best endings in cinema history.
Yeah.
So what should we do? I don't fucking know, dude.
Yeah.
We can burn each other, which is what originally they were told. Like, yeah, this is what makes sense. They're gonna burn each other. And Carver's like, I'm not ending my movie with you two guys burning each
Like
other.
simultaneously
Yeah.
shooting a flamethrower
Literally,
on
like,
3.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
And plus, you couldn't guarantee that if one of them was a thing, that the other one wouldn't do it.
yeah.
Exactly.
So then you just give him the thing a flamethrower and the other one's
Yeah.
gonna survive.
yeah. And I love that. That's what Kurt Russell says. Like, yeah, if either of us have any surprises for the other one at this point, I don't think there's a lot we can do about it.
Yeah.
Like, this is
What a-
what's up.
What a good ending.
Just wait a while.
Yeah, and it's similar to like the question posed like halfway through the movie where Kurt Russell basically puts the chips on the table and he's like, "I know I'm not evil, or I know I'm not the thing." I guess again, it's not necessarily an evil being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know I'm not the thing.
I know I'm human.
Yeah, I'm human, and I know that at least one of you is human because if you all weren't human, it'd just be a 1v1 fight right now, and like you'd have the advantage. So like,
Right. Yeah. At least one
Yeah.
of you is still human.
yeah. So, it's a great concept. Like I sit here. The thing that baffles me the most is still how like critics can just watch this and be like, nah, not interesting.
Right.
Like it
just doesn't. Yeah, it's not like an intellectual exercise. You just watch the movie and you're like, yeah, that
and you're
movie's
entertained.
awesome.
And even if you want to put like more thought into it, you could say that this is an allegory for the nuclear bomb or for the Cold War.
Yeah,
because
Right.
it kind of is. Because it's like the Norwegians find like something that they don't know anything about, and they're like, "Well, let's meddle with it," and then they get fucked immediately. And like then we find it, and then we get like the only reason like the American. Well, we want to keep this for the Nobel Prize potentially. Then it just screws them over.
I think like most movies, like Poltergeist, for instance, you can say it's about Reagan. And these all movies like this by creatives who clearly hate Reagan get poorly reviewed because the movie reviewers at the time are like, "What are you talking about? It's great.
Everything's great.
Trickle down thing is doing great."
No one trusts each other, and we're all very tired. And it's like this movie was made 40 years ago, and like here we are 40 years later, and no one trusts each other, and we're all very tired.
And it also
and people
starts,
are like, I don't feel like that. I'm great.
Yeah.
Reaganomics.
and it starts with the thing is first a dog, man's best friend, and you can't even trust man's best friend.
Right.
Nope.
Just going around doing dog stuff.
Yeah, he seems so happy at the beginning when he was on.
He was so
I forgot
cute.
that guy's name. He's the first one to get thing.
That's when he's like jumping up and trying to lick him.
Yeah.
Is he like,
Is he
hey,
trying to-
I'm home, or is he like trying to like, I'm gonna get you right now?
It is great when he's just like looking out the window. Like I was just saying to Bree,
Yeah.
like this dog's
not
not
gonna be
even.
here.
This might not have even been an actor dog. They might have just had somebody walking around outside, so the dog would just look by the window. The dog doesn't really do anything it needs to do. Like some of the kennel dogs have to at least bark and like chew wire and try.
I mean, they probably needed him to like run a certain way, like in the very beginning. But
I also do, since we're talking about the beginning again. I know the Norwegians.
Since we're starting over.
I know the Norwegians are just scientists, and so it's understandable that they just don't know how to use guns. And they don't know how to throw a grenade.
There.
He stormtroopers that dog like 80 times.
As we would later learn, Joel Edgerton, doing an American accent, is not a scientist. He's just a pilot.
Okay.
Yeah, like McCready, I guess. Is the
I mean, it's also, I would assume, not easy to shoot a very small target while flying around.
Them not shooting him, that's understandable. Them
Come on,
being
Lars.
So bad
that guy's
with the
name is Lars, it
grenades.
turns out.
Lars?
I've only just watched the movie yesterday, so I know that guy's name is Lars.
Lars. I mean,
Lars does not speak English, but he does have a gun. So it is a sticking point throughout the 2011 thing.
But like Lars in the thing in 1982, he throws the first grenade like a mile off from the dog.
Yeah.
And then then it's the second grenade.
There are
he's
some
like,
limitations
"Whoops."
to filming.
Yes. Oh, I know. I'm just saying, I am a headcanon. 1982 one, they are scientists and they barely know what they're doing with the
they're
guns and
terrible.
grenades.
that's fair.
Yep. That's pretty much it. So a couple fun facts before we get into some more of my discussion questions. The second unit, and if you don't know that what that is, there's another crew, another assistant director, whatever, stand-ins. They'll go and do a lot of location shoots or non-acting scenes, like you don't see their faces or whatever. The person who was doing McCready in the second unit was wearing the giant sombrero. Kurt Russell says in the commentary, when I got there, McCready has a giant sombrero was already established, and all those shots were already done, so I just had to go with it. And Carpenter's like, "Oh, so did you like it?" He went, "Well, I didn't have a choice." So that's why he's wearing a weird snow sombrero.
And I love it.
Yeah. And you can see, I didn't even notice it probably the first time I watched it, but obviously when they go up to the Norwegian camp and then to the flying saucer, he has it on, but he always has it like it's on his back, like a backpack pretty much at all times. It's a massive hat. They couldn't get beer to the location, which made them very sad.
Oh.
Where they were filming in British Columbia. Most of the like exterior mountains and stuff is Alaska. The exteriors that were the sets were British Columbia, where they had to do some work too. And then anything inside is Burbank and the Universal lot. One of the taglines for this is "Man is the warmest place to hide," which I like. Which I didn't double check, but I remember from like a year ago that might be it, and it's too good for me to double check. So don't check that.
No, I like it. That's
Nope.
the best one.
Yep.
The poster for this movie has little to nothing to do with the movie, but is one of the best movie posters ever made.
Yep.
And also works really well for the movie. I
Yes.
feel like, even though that's not depicting an event
Yes.
in the movie.
I think it just looks great.
It looks great.
And also
A triumph of design.
I bring it up in the summary, but the opening title sequence for The Thing is arguably one of the best.
It's very
yes,
good.
It
Yes.
is.
And it also like it's the same thing. Like the light comes through. Like it
Yep.
doesn't have anything to do with the
a
thing.
recreation of the 50s opening, which
Oh,
is
okay.
also, I think it's just like paper burning away into the shape of the letters
I said,
Great.
I said to
great.
Bree, I was
with,
like,
with
I,
a backlight.
I
That's
did-
pretty much it.
I did say when I saw it, I think it's cool, but I was like, it's weird. Like, I don't know if this is just like, ooh, this is like this is just, this movie's older than I think.
So for Carpenter and Kurt Russell, this is after Escape from New York, but before Big Trouble in Little China and Escape from LA.
I was going to say, this is before Escape from New York.
And I think also after their TV movie, the Elvis TV movie also.
Maybe. I thought you were good. I don't know why. I just thought you were going to be like, this is after Escape from New York, but before he escapes from LA. So he's not, he's like in Tulsa.
No, that would have been funny. That would have been funny. Yeah. Snake at this point is making his way
Way
to
to
LA.
LA.
Yeah.
So that he can escape.
Yeah. One of the signature actor director pairings.
Yeah.
So right at the beginning of the commentary, which I didn't even know before I was listening to it, Carpenter mentions his Apocalypse trilogy, which I texted about to you before. Like, if you have time, it doesn't have any reflection on this, but his Apocalypse trilogy, this being the first one, and then Prince of Darkness and In the Mouth of Madness is what Carpenter considers his Apocalypse trilogy. So I wanted to ask Vaz, since you've watched like every movie, have you seen either of those?
No, I there's a lot of Carpenter stuff I have not seen.
Cool.
I have a lot of big gaps in my film.
Those movies both rip and roar. I don't know what how to end that. They're both amazing. Prince of Darkness is maybe like it's one of those things where, you know, any director with a huge budget can, and like enough, however many hundred digital animators can make things that like look visually appealing or whatever. But just after this movie flops, Carpenter has to go into like director jail. He makes a deal where he's making these movies for, I think both of them are like under $3 million budgets. And he makes, and then this is where he makes Prince of Darkness, which is all set in this like church / community center in LA, which is just a real place. They just shoot it there. And it's about this academic study, I guess, that's like a professor and some students go to this church to study this something. And it turns out what they're studying is a large liquid tube in the basement of this church that is Satan.
All right.
And they study it, and it goes really badly for them. And it's just the whole movie takes place in this like community center. And then In the Mouth of Madness is Bugnuts, fucking insane Sam Neill, I guess heat check. It's after Jurassic Park.
Oh.
And Sam Neill's like, I'm going to do this. And it is insane. I'd say Carpenter is maybe my favorite director, because the point I was trying to make before, if you give another director the prompt of make a really genuinely terrifying horror movie, you have this one basic community center / church building and only $3 million, even though that was more back then, whatever. No, it wouldn't be effective like that at all. It wouldn't have some of the craziest images in horror movies ever. So just saying, like, Carpenter, what a man. What Carpenters have you seen?
Halloween.
Yep.
And I think that's it. I think it's just been Thing and Oh wait, I saw Big Trouble in Little China,
Cool.
and I think that's it. I think it's those three.
Yeah, those are, I mean, if you're only seeing three,
It's from New York.
I was going to say, and then Escape from New York is amazing, and so is They Live. The two I just mentioned, I probably actually like more than They Live, but They Live also has a really fun ending and a lot of great Keith David. So,
I also seen They Live. I forget.
there you go. So you've seen
Yeah.
like 7.
Yes, that's all I
I'm looking
have.
up the list just to make sure for me.
And there's also that great fight between Keith David and Roddy Piper.
Yes, there is.
Goes on for like 15 minutes.
The line "I came here to kick ass and chew bubblegum and I'm all out of bubblegum" is from They Live. If I don't know if that's like the thing that's like, oh fuck me, let me throw that on Netflix right now or wherever it is. Probably not Netflix. But yeah, so this is my favorite Carpenter. We did Halloween on this. Halloween's up there too, but this Big Trouble in Little China, Halloween, Escape from New York, They Live, all really recommendable.
For me, it's this number one, obviously. And then it's probably Halloween. And then I don't know the rest. Well, I could probably figure it out
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
And some of those I do need to rewatch again because I haven't seen They Live in like, I don't know, 10 years.
Yeah. Big Trouble in Little China it occupies a kind of similar place in my mind as Scott Pilgrim, where like the first time I saw Scott Pilgrim, I didn't realize that Scott was an asshole because I was pretty much like Scott at the time.
Same,
Yeah.
exactly.
And then like
we
as,
were all the same age.
yeah, and then as I watch it again as I'm older, I was like, oh, he's an asshole.
Yeah,
That makes this movie a lot better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Knives Chow is the hero of
Yeah,
Scott
yeah.
Pilgrim.
He's a jackass. And then same thing with Big Trouble in Little China, where you're like, oh, the point is that Kurt Russell's character, Jack Burton, thinks that he is the hero of this movie, but he is a very minor character in the heroic story that his friend is having. And he keeps running into situations and being like, I got this, and then immediately fucking up and having to be saved. And it's just such a fun subversion. And then this, no one's really a hero, but you know, it's the Thing. A monumental
Is the
movie
Thing the
to me.
hero of the Thing?
Would you know if you're the Thing? Apparently that's something they never figured out.
Oh, so like you might be acting as normal, and then the Thing hits like an activation switch on you, and
Yeah. Are you still conscious?
So
Do you
kinda
know
like a
you've been taken
Cylon
over, or?
thing.
I don't think so. I think
I
once you are the Thing, you know you're the Thing, and you're in survival mode, so you imitate. Unless you haven't finished imitating, because that was brought up with Bennings. Or
Yeah, he's the one who was out in the cold.
like he didn't have the imitation like voice down. He still had the weird hands.
Yeah,
like
'cause
he wasn't done imitating.
They were like, "Hey, Benny, what's up?"
yeah, and just screams. So
That's not Benny.
exactly. So if you are finished imitating, then I think you know you are no longer who you were. You are
does
the
a
Thing.
quick body
And it-
snatcher.
In a deleted scene, they were like, "Quick, someone get Benny's fingerprints on file so we can compare it to Benny now."
How do you guys think the simulation works?
I assume it's like a sunken place equivalent
Yeah.
of like you're there, but you're not in control. Maybe like Animorphs, like
Yeah.
your situation.
So yeah, sometimes you see it like wrapping its thing around people's necks or like
Yeah.
going through their faces, the
Yeah.
throats. Yeah. So is it like it goes like in you and then it can like pop out whatever it wants? Or are you gone and then it replicates your structure?
I think it still keeps like memory and stuff.
Yeah.
That's the thing that throws me. Is it's
Yeah.
like
Like what happens to your body? Is it in your body now? Or
I think
is
it's in your body. It's your cells that
Okay.
get taken over.
Yeah.
Well, because that's what the computer at the beginning,
Mhm.
like has the cell take over the other cell.
Yeah.
Like matter exists. Like, well, it's a supernatural thing. It's not like
It's not
matter
It's not
isn't-
cloning you
it's not
and like
cloning.
killing you off
Yeah.
screen.
Yeah, because we saw the Windows transformation happening like once it got like
when
Yeah,
he
that was
came
so
back.
sad. That was
Yeah.
That was the one time I was like, "Oh, poor thing."
Yeah.
Yeah.
poor
Well,
thing.
yeah, poor thing.
Poor thing.
Yeah.
Pro
Poor
thing.
thing.
That,
over
well,
here.
that's the best part of that scene to me
Yeah.
is because he goes outside and throws the dynamite at it,
Yeah.
which Kurt Russell says he didn't know it was going to explode that good, and that's actually him like being really knocked back that you can see in a wide shot. And then he has to go back in, and the guys they're still tied up. They're like, "Can you
kill the
can you,
other
over in the
come on,
corner.
get windows, please." Yeah, great. We don't have to keep. I mean, come on, right? Yeah. So, yeah, this is a good movie, y'all.
I do also like to think of the scenes where like, oh, the Thing took over like Palmer or the other guy, and like, Palmer's naked now. That's the thing. I gotta go get clothes.
Yep.
Right. It's got to be that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what gets me. It's like I don't think they could be dead unless it's just like the Thing also has all the memories and stuff too.
Yeah, if
Like
it's a
that-
perfect imitation, it has your memories.
So if it has memories, I guess you could be dead. but it seems more
Yeah, I
like
think you
you're
are
not.
gone.
I don't think
Yeah.
you're even if you're technically still there, you're not conscious about it.
You mentioned
think
like
it's,
it's like a sunken place. sort of
yeah.
situation.
What's the call? I always forget the name of the ship. The ship that's like weighing all the
Oh.
pieces until
Theseus?
Theseus'
Oh.
ship.
Ship of
I think that's what it
Theseus.
is. He just takes the
I was
cells
just know that.
until he is a perfect imitation. So he has all your memories. He has everything.
Oh, okay.
That's how I think of it.
I like that. I think we hit all my main discussion questions. I'll just say, yeah, I don't know. The 2011 one, I really love this movie, and it's interesting to say like this is a prequel. So I don't know if we said this straight up. It's what happens at the Norwegian camp before McCready gets there.
Oh,
Is what the prequel is, and there is a cool moment at the end where it does recreate like, okay, everyone's dead, but like a couple guys. They jump into a helicopter. The dog takes off. You see the helicopter like get up and start following, and that's happening like over the end credits. The helicopter lifts off, and you see a few shots of them like trying to track the dog down. Right where this movie starts.
I forgot that the 2011 one wasn't a remake. It was just a prequel to it.
right.
It is a prequel.
Which I
It-
do
it
like
has
that
a-
idea.
It has a couple moments where they do try and do their own version of the blood tests, but it's kind of weirdly like a smart analogy for the 2011 version, because they try and do their own version of the blood test, and it is Mary Elizabeth Winstead sees if you have like metallic fillings, because they determine that the thing can't replicate inorganic material. So they see before a guy had like the metal pins in his arm because he broke his arm, and it basically like that guy got taken over and that got like spit out.
Huh.
So they're checking like if you have fillings in your teeth.
That's interesting, actually.
But then it's like, okay, it's like an interesting take on that. But also in the movie, it doesn't work because some of them guys are like, I floss. I don't have fillings.
Right.
And
People
then
like
a
to take
couple
care of
other
their
guys
teeth.
are like, yeah, I have porcelain fillings. Like they're not going to shine with your flashlight.
Huh.
And so it's like,
Just poor execution for a
well, it
good
didn't
idea.
really work. Yeah.
I guess
right,
it worked
right,
for-
yeah.
So, like,
Yeah,
why-
that would have
so
been
why
a
even have
really,
that scene?
yeah,
I
that
mean,
would
I
have been
guess-
a really cool
No,
idea.
that's still, and that becomes like, it works in the movie because then it's like, okay, well, we know that these people are on the good team. And it basically comes down to like, there was 8 people and 4 had fillings you could see and 4 didn't.
Yeah.
And so then it's like those 2 teams, and it tries to get to a same fever pitch where then there's all this confusion and then some shit starts going down.
And I do think in Norway that they do mandate everyone to get fillings.
Yeah.
That is just law.
Yeah. It's like
Even if they
Norwegian
just drill holes
lead.
into your
Yeah,
teeth.
yeah, they don't care how good your
Yeah.
teeth are.
Yeah.
There are some like really good sculptures where they're doing like autopsy scenes,
Mhm.
and it's like fucking gross and it looks like pretty good. But anytime the thing is like in motion, it's CGI,
Yeah.
and it has that really, really shitty CGI effect that was very prevalent in 2011. The example that comes to mind is the first version of Justice League,
Oh,
where
wow.
the cyborg CGI wasn't good, so his face was kind of floaty.
yeah.
And it was something that you could just tell wasn't yeah. So it's that kind of thing where it's just a little floaty.
Or is that the one where Henry Cavill had his mustache CGI'd off, or is that the second
Yeah,
one?
Yes,
Yeah, horrible.
yes, yeah.
Snyder cut after.
I mean, we're only at an hour and a half, even with all the stuff we're going to cut out. We've gotten a lot better at keeping
Yeah,
it
the
tight.
last half we rallied.
We rallied.
We boot and rallied.
Yes.
Yeah, just to speak of, like, I feel like I am somebody who really, really likes whodunits. I mean, we're doing this in my apartment, or me and Bree's apartment.
Yeah, and one of us
sorry.
is the thing. We just
Yeah, one of the thing. But it's like we got like behind Bree's like just a bunch of like we got 2-box set of like mystery things. We got mystery things in here. I have a forensics book where there's like the nutshell studies where it's like it's all like murder scenes you can look
Mhm.
at. It's like
Yeah.
those things always captivate me, and it's crazy that this movie doesn't really the focus is never on the whodunit. It is partially a whodunit. Well, you know who we are. Who is it? I guess. Is
Yeah, you know who
whodunit.
did it.
You know
Who
you know
goes
who's
there.
doing it, but it's just like
It's a real who goes there.
who goes there.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. But it's interesting that at a lot of times during the movie, they're like, well, it's not, we're not telling you how it happened, which was a key to a whodunit. It's like, it doesn't matter how it happened. It matters that this person is the thing. And it's also like, and at the end, it's like, it doesn't matter who's the thing at the end. It just matters that the situation's fucked. And Yeah, like somebody with my brain that craves those answers, that needs those answers, I still leave satisfied. Like I have no problems with this movie in regards to that stuff. And it's just it's a testament to the plot. It's a testament to the characters, like the direction.
It's ambiguous in the best way.
Yeah.
Yep. So at the we already talked about the end, but do you have a strong feeling that either of them are or are not a thing?
I don't think either of them are.
Yeah. I don't think either of them are. They do a lot of dialogue specifically to try to get you to think the key theme it is.
People think because you can't see his breath that he's not a thing, or that you never see Kurt Russell actually take a swig from the bottle, so he's handing him like oil and seeing if he reacts because the thing wouldn't know the difference or whatever. But that's not actually supported in the text. And the reason you don't see him breathe is because his face is in shadow.
Yeah.
Because when the camera turns to, whatever.
And it's also, I think the only light to have is just from the fire from the explosion.
Oh, we didn't even say Dean Cundy.
What?
The lighting in this movie. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. The lighting in this
movie
movie
yet
is
another
really
Dean Cundy. We did Halloween, Jurassic Park, and now this. Dean Cundy.
I didn't know he did Jurassic Park.
Yes.
For him.
What a man.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but just as we're talking about lighting.
But I do think like the most interesting ending is that they're both just human.
Yeah.
And that they both just can't trust each other because they're just at that point where it just they can't.
Yeah, but they'll be frozen to death in 3 hours.
Yeah, either
tops.
way. And plus,
okay, so let's get some ratings on this. Every episode, I'll put on letterboxd.com our ratings that we give on this. Always on a scale of 5, but not out of stars, even though Letterboxd forces me to do stars. Just know in our heart of hearts that it is not that. On a scale of any of our choosings, you can, I think, do as low as half a star. I don't know if you can do 0. You might be able to, but it just doesn't look like you've given it a rating on Letterboxd.
Let's say the lowest is half a star.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Half a star to 5 in increments of halves, if you so choose. Who's got a good scale and rating?
Multi, you look like you got
5 spider heads out of 5.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to
Well,
think.
I was like,
something.
whoever goes first is taking spider heads.
Yep.
So.
I have my own already.
Oh,
I'm going 5 cheating bitches out of 5.
I've got a good option that I don't think I'm able to come up with anything else, but it has to go last.
Also, the chess game that McCready, or what's his name again?
McCready.
McCready. That McCready's playing in the beginning that he destroys. I don't know if that's like a community one or that's just his, because it's up in his shack.
It is,
but it's a huge dick move.
Yeah. It's the one thing they have besides pool or whatever.
They have pool, poker, a pinball machine.
Yeah. That's it.
McCready breaks one of their big toys.
Yep.
My rating is a 5. You've got to be fucking kidding me.
5. Joseph Kaczynski's Spiderhead starring.
God damn
it. Who's even in that movie?
Miles Teller?
Starring Miles Teller. Out of 5.
I did watch Whiplash, but I already missed the beginning of the show, so I can't talk about it now.
Yeah. Well, we are definitely dragging.
Got him. It's a Whiplash reference.
Whip.
All right, let's all sing the Whiplash. No,
Whiplash.
We had such fun ending the Mean Girls episode that I never actually did like the "You can find us" at spiel. And then I was thinking of editing it in, but I was like, it's too good. I can't. So if you're wondering why the Mean Girls episode ended just with us go Mean Girls and not being like, here's where you can find us and plugging anything. Anyway, you can find us on Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Podbeans, other things too. The T Public store is just, get to T Public and searches. There's a couple shirts in there. They're both great. You want them. Yeah, you want 7 of them. You can find our Instagram where we put up one fun poster a week. I don't think I've described before. It's not just the movie poster. There's like some differences. We put like our own faces on it.
And they're very
I
good.
also don't think I've ever said this before. I don't think they're good. They're supposed to be bad. That's why it's funny. I think people think that I think they're good, and I just want to say that I don't. I think they're funny, and they're like John Carpenter said of the scene where Windows get his heady, and I think they're like a vision of hell sometimes, and that's fun for me. I don't know. Go check it out on Instagram at late2themovies_podcast. That's the number 2. Same with the Gmail, late2themovies@gmail.com in case you have any feedback. Am I forgetting anything? No, right? We're done here?
I think that's it.
All right, let's
Podbeans?
just sit here for a while. Oh, fuck, I fucked it up. We said Podbeans, yeah. Any good outro bits?
The thing. That thing you did.
That's why you were talking about the wonders.
Yeah, you were trying to look at Octavia Spencer for so long. You missed that
thing
entire
you do,
bit.
yeah. Oh, okay. It's like,
Yeah, that was like act 3 of that bit.
I get it.